Okay, you'll see a similar video to this one on Alec Burks, but James Edwards, and I won't go through the whole spiel. Dude's good, dude's reliable, and he's saying that per league sources, the price tag to acquire Bogdanovich appears to be at the very minimum an unprotected first round pick. Now, I'm going to go back to this, but I want to talk and I want to pause the video right there and talk about it for a second. The value seems to be an unprotected first round pick for Bogdanovich. Now, we've locked this guy up. He has signed an extension, so we know he's going to be here for multiple years if we keep him. If we don't keep him, we're saying at least a unprotected first round pick. As we get closer to the trade deadline, less than a month away, it seems more and more likely that the Pistons will get that unprotected first round pick. Here's the question: what year is it going to be for? What year is it going to be for? Is it going to be a 2023 pick? Because if it's unprotected for 2023, who cares? Because you're trading him to a playoff team. If it's going to be an unprotected pick, you want it to be a little bit down the line for a team trying to make the playoffs. For example, the LA Lakers. Yes, we all talk about the LA Lakers every time there's a trade because people talk about the Lakers and trades. That's what we do. I don't necessarily like it. Detroit versus everybody, but that is kind of the way it goes. So if we trade Bogdanovich to the Lakers, everybody knows they need another shooter. They need floor spacing. They need another scorer on that team. That would be a good fit, I do believe, because Bogdanovich is a good fit everywhere. I don't even think they have a pick available, but all of a sudden a pick that's like 2025, 2026, something like that, and you're kicking the can down the road. As much as I don't like kicking the can down the road, doesn't seem as horrible. And I'm not saying you just get that. There has to be either another player or another pick involved in that. But that's the kind of thing I think we're looking for. Not an unprotected pick next year. So just remember when you're seeing these trade packages come up and you're starting to see the trade rumors and all that kind of stuff, it's not probably going to be for 2023 unless it's for a not as good team. Because I don't think Dwayne Casey, I don't think Troy Weaver, I don't think anybody in the Pistons organization wants to trade Bojan Bogdanovich for the 25th pick in next year's NBA draft. I could be wrong. It's just not a valuable pick. What you're hoping to get out of the 25th pick in the first round is you're hoping to get a guy that stays in the league. You're hoping to get a rotational bench player at the end of the first round. That's it. Bojan Bogdanovich is so much more than a rotational bench player. But let's finish reading this, okay? As the trade deadline inches closer, there's a decent chance Detroit's front office will get offered the pick it is looking for, which then would prompt the team to seriously weigh the risk and reward of departing with a known quality player for an uncertain asset. Troy Weaver does a great job drafting. We know that. What is the one thing he hasn't drafted? He hasn't drafted a Bojan Bogdanovich. We thought it was, and we hoped it was Saddiq Bey. It wasn't, right? It is hard to find a pure scorer in the draft. It's not easy to do. It's just not easy to do. So I think when we're looking at these things, we have to realize these guys are hard to come by. Let's look at this. Bojan Bogdanovich has been in the league since 2014. And since then, he has put together almost identical numbers that he has now, really starting in 17-18 or 18-19 with Indiana, and then went to Utah and he started going off. And now what he's proven is even when he is the focal point, he remains an efficient scorer. He's shooting almost 49% field goals. He's 41.5% from three. In fact, when the ball's in his hand more, he's even more efficient. Like, this guy has been very, very good. Like, I think we all thought that Bojan was going to be a good player for us. Don't get me wrong. I think we all thought he was going to be good. I don't think any of us expected him to be 21, 22 points a game while still holding the same efficiency. I think what we thought was he was a guy who averages 15 to 20 points a game, and he was super efficient because he had great players around him, whether it was Mitchell, whether it was Gobert, who cares who it was, right? It doesn't matter. We just thought those were good Utah Jazz teams. So now when you put him on a Pistons team and then Cade gets injured and all of a sudden he's carrying the leading scorer role, like it's all on his back. It's on him. There's no other player on this team that is capable of going for averaging over 20 points a night. Jaden Ivey's not there yet. He's not there yet. Saddiq Bey is streaky at best. At best. Isaiah Stewart does not have a refined offensive game to do that. It's not even his game at all, right? The only other player that maybe could do it with 33, 34 minutes is Alec Burks, but he has such a good role off the bench. So when I look at this, the question you have to ask yourself is, can you find what Bogdanovich does? And you have to weigh that toward how much longer is he going to be able to do this? Is he a guy who you really think can play at this level for 2 more years? And even if he can't, does it even matter? Because if in 2 years, Cade isn't your absolute bona fide stud and Ivy hasn't gone there, and either Duren or Stewart, if those aren't your best 3 players, you probably have a big problem anyway. So taking Bogdanovich off the bench in the year 2025, playing him off the bench 22 minutes a night might be a great role for him. Bogdanovich in 2 years might have the exact same role that Alec Burks has had on this team. You bring him in, he plays 22 minutes a night. His job is to absolutely be the leading scorer on the bench unit. And that way your offense doesn't take a nosedive when your second team comes in. Especially with a guy like Dwayne Casey, who has been known to love 10-man rotations. Love them. He's been forced with injuries this year to play more 8 and 9-man rotations, which is honestly kind of nice to see at times. But I really struggle when you say, hey, let's get rid of and trade Burks. Let's trade Bogdanovich. I know we're all sick of the rebuild. So if you're sick of the rebuild, because that's what I just keep hearing, that's what Pistons Twitter, everywhere that you look is just complaining that the rebuild has taken yet another year this year, because we all thought this was the year that we would be trying to compete for the play-in game. And if Cade was still on this team, maybe we would be. And if health went the way it should have, maybe it would be. But if you're sick of rebuilding, we're going to get another top pick this year. You may as well go for it next year. You may as well have these guys. And I'm telling you right now, if you are going to get rid of a Bogdanovich, if you're going to get rid of an Alec Burks, this is a team that is going to struggle to win for another year. They're going to struggle again. So let's stop being so quick to run toward trade everybody, trade the farm, and let's just be thankful for what we have. These are our best scorers. These guys are putting in the most buckets at the most important times and keeping this team afloat this year. Let them be the guys that play that same exact role next year when you put them next to a bunch of young talent. Now, if you want to trade Nerlens Noel, by all means, let him go. If you want to trade Saddiq Bey, I'll do a video about that. Let him go. Like, I understand that because I think you can find a Saddiq Bey somewhere else, a guy who can kind of shoot the 3 that can't play defense but scores. Yeah, I can find him everywhere. Like, that's truthfully what he's kind of starting to proven to be. So yes, I understand that, but these veteran presence, they have a point, they have a purpose, they have a reason. You need to have them on your team, and that's why the Pistons have a high price tag on them. All right, we'll see you on the next one. Hit that subscribe button below if you haven't already. And hey, we want to be your place for all Pistons and Lions content. Make sure you're checking us out, and we'll keep putting videos. See ya.